Formula Renault Eurocup moves to, perhaps you could argue, a home venue this weekend because we are at Magny-Cours and it's Q2 coming up to determine the grid for today's race. The way that Formula Renault works, of course, is to have standalone qualifying sessions and to have Q2 for race 1 and Q1 for race 2. It all works out quite neatly, and the championship has had a busy few days, that is for sure, because the cars were in action just a week ago at the Nürburgring. Very different type of circuit, but here they come with the championship now really getting interesting. Victor Martins was the man very definitely in charge in Germany with 2 poles, 2 wins and 2 fastest laps, and it brings him very much into the game as far as the championship is concerned, because he was 6th when he got to the Nürburgring, and now he finds himself as the championship leader. He's ahead of Franco Colapinto, who has been a race winner this season. Other winners being Franco Colapinto and David Vidales. He's had a double. Victor Martins has had a double. Collet and Colapinto one apiece, and those came at the start of the season from the races at Monza. So cars on track. It is a short, sharp session. It's 20 minutes, the session. And this, as I say, will determine the grid for race 1. Yesterday, we had Victor Martins again being the fastest driver. And as the field, as I say, has 20 minutes of track time available to it, 1 or 2 are, if you like, being the stragglers and deciding to go out a little bit later when the track is perhaps rubbered in a bit, when perhaps there is a time to go for. What they don't want to do either is just drive around and around and around for 20 minutes and take the life out of the tyres, because the more life you've got, if you can keep a fresh set of rubber for the races, then you are better placed perhaps than the opposition. So some of the teams may well elect to preserve tyre wear, ready for race 1 that's coming up midway through today. Now there is Vicky Piria heading out onto the circuit. Vicky arrived, as you see, also with a rear wheel spinning Petr Potacek ready to go. Vicky Piria arrived on the scene just a week ago, taking over the car that had been raced at the start of the season by Nicola Marinangeli, who was in a road accident in the break between the race at Imola and then the Nürburgring. So we wish Nicola Marinangeli well, and it's interesting to see how Vicky Piria is going to get on this weekend with a little bit more seat time available to her and a bit more testing. They've had a really busy week. I mean, the teams fled virtually straight from the Nürburgring to get here, to set up, to hit the track Tuesday to go testing. They have what are called private tests and then collective tests, so there's no free practice as such, but you have a very busy period of the test sessions in advance of the race weekend. Previous winners here, actually, because Renault Eurocup hasn't been to Magny-Cours that often in recent times, you have to go quite a long way back to find the famous names, but amongst them, Felipe Massa back in 2000, when he and Kimi Räikkönen were forging their names in Formula Renault. This circuit, 4.4 kilometres long. We're expecting 19 laps per race, as you see Rached Dageris heading out onto the circuit. Now he, yesterday, struggled, didn't get a lap time in, so he's potentially going to be a man to watch today to see what true pace he's actually got in that car. Victor Martins yesterday was the fastest by just 7 thousandths of a second, and was looking very strong indeed. He admitted yesterday, Victor Martins, to making some mistakes, particularly in the chicane and in Sector 3 on that last lap. Franco Colapinto yesterday saying disappointed not to have taken pole, and David Vidal is saying that he was pretty happy with third and he likes the circuit. So there's more optimism, if you like, in the camp of David Vidal. 52 there is the car of Vicky Piria. So heading up towards the start of a flying lap, the Magny-Cours circuit with its mix of fast sweeps and tight corners. You've got that sort of paperclip style infield section to it, but this is where the speed builds through turn 1 into turn 2. That long looping right turn 3 takes you out onto that back straight, the fast straight, speed building all the time. Laszlo Toth sets the target time then, as you see, as he goes over the timing line, the Hungarian driver doing a time at 1:44.894, but that, I suspect, is going to be bettered as the cars then work their way through this 20-minute period. It's when you get the likes of Martins and Collet out onto the circuit that things are going to be really interesting. Martins, Collet, Vidales, Colombo, Alex Quinn, Hugo de Wilde showing decent pace yesterday. That's the top 6 on yesterday's pace, yesterday's order, ready for today's, ready for tomorrow's race, I should say. So there, Laszlo Toth powering his way around this second flying lap for him. Flicks through that chicane. He's in the middle sector of the lap now, so that's turns 7 and 8. And this is a section where, again, if you're a bit throttle happy, you'll push out wide, scrub off speed, and compromise the run up through the next section of the lap as well, heading to the end of sector 2 now. So Laszlo Toth powers on, and again, it is purple. So he's done the absolute best in both sectors. In a way, though, that's a little bit misleading because, of course, what you haven't really got are too many other people out there setting proper lap times yet. So, of course, it looks good because there's nobody else particularly threatening that lap time just yet. So Laszlo Toth then now powers his way over the curb through that chicane at the end of the lap up towards the timing line, and he will do what, a 1:36.692. So he's getting quicker all the time, but the real test is that lap time against the opposition. Now, who else is going to be out there that might be able to offer up a proper challenge? Let's see. Pit lane is emptying. We've got times coming out of Magny-Cours, Adrien David and Franco Colapinto. Vicky Piria has gone 5th, a 1:48.307. Probably a circuit, to be fair to her, that she doesn't really know that well. So there is Vicky Piria up towards the end of the lap, heading now through the Complex du Lycée towards the timing line. The target is still Laszlo Toth's 36 that he's set already. And Vicky Piria then for the Vitek squad comes up towards the chicane at the end of the lap and breaks the beam to do what? To go up to 4th on a 1:41.232, celebrating 50 years of Formula Renault this year, as Adrien David, who's the reigning French Formula 4 champion, so he should have track knowledge here. He should know about the Magny-Cours circuit, and on this lap he's looking very, very good indeed, because as you can see, 3 absolute bests puts him on the pole position. So Adrien David, then 7 times a winner in French F4 last year, goes to the top of the times. That was a very, very good run indeed. So Adrien David up then to the top from Magny-Cours, and then Laszlo Toth down to 3rd. But Alex Quinn, the British driver number 20, the black and white car of Alex Quinn, the Arden car, has done an absolute best in the first sector, only for Adrien David to best him as he accelerates now up through the Adelaide hairpin onto the power once again. So he's at the end of that first sector. Now the run through the infield. There is Quinn. No, it's not. There is 52. Apologies. It's a black and white livery of Vicky Piria. Alex Quinn, number 20 for the Arden team. There in the background, 3rd of the 4 cars on screen. And Alex Quinn, British driver from both single-seater background and GT racing, on this lap is finding himself stuck in traffic because ahead of him is 53 Lorenzo Colombo, who has yet to do a lap time as well. And Colombo is busy getting his tyres up to temperature. So Alex Quinn, I'm afraid, even though he's done 2 personal bests, is stuck in the traffic, and it's every man for himself in this. If you're on a start-up lap, you're not going to get out of the way overly readily, because then that traffic is what you're going to be stuck in on the next lap. So Quinn makes the best of it. Actually, in fairness to him, 3 personal bests. But number 11, Franco Colapinto, there he is, has done 2 absolute bests. So Colapinto looking as though this could be provisional pole position as he heads now up towards the completion of the lap then from Chateau d'Eau into turn 15, which in turn sets you up for the quick flick through the chicane, ride the curve. Colapinto, absolute best, absolute best, absolute best, goes on a pole position then. So Franco Colapinto for the MP Motorsport team, the Dutch squad, goes on to the top of the times by the best part of a second. So he's 9/10 up on Magny-Cours. Adrien David is 3rd, Laszlo Toth is 4th, Quinn 5th, Rachel de Geras, who didn't get a lap in yesterday, is 6th. 7th is Alatalo here, William Alatalo. 8th fastest is Vicky Piria. 9th fastest it is Hugo de Wilde. And 10th is David Vidales. And we've got half the session still to go. Alatalo pushes a bit deep there, looking to turn 15. But what does he do for a lap time? 3 personal best puts him second on the grid then. So William Alatalo does a 1:35.085, goes second. Amaury Cordeel here is down to third, and he's just done a personal best within the first sector. So Cordeel, again, pushing on, and if the traffic permits, then let's see what he can do. Drives for the FA Racing Team, FA being, of course, Fernando Alonso. So Cordeel, 8.75 minutes on the clock, heading up towards the timing line. Now, where's this going to put him? Because he's now dropped to 6th. We've only just got Victor Martins out onto the circuit, incidentally. I don't think we've had Kaya Collett out at all. We should have 16 of these. I think we probably now have accounted for everybody. Collett is on track. Collett's gone second, apologies. So Kaya Collett, on his first proper flying lap, goes second. What about Paul Aron up to third now on his first flying lap? Amaury Cordeel is through but lost out in the final sector to go 6th. That's Petr Potacek, number 3, who's gone 8th fastest. But now William Alatalo, number 38, personal and absolute best. Here, Kaya Collett, absolute best in sector 1. So Collett, 2 personal bests now, just to stretch the margin over the opposition. He comes then now out of the Chateau d'Eau up towards the Complex de Lycée at the end of the lap. This is looking very, very good indeed for the Brazilian driver. You can tell off the livery that he's part of the Renault Sport Academy for aspiring drivers, and he goes on to pole position as well. So Kaya Collett goes through. He's not yet had a pole this year, so can he hang on in there? Let's see. Amaury Cordeel still pushing on. Victor Martins is going to be the next driver to look for because he is 16th fastest, but he's on track. Collett is the fastest from Lorenzo Colombo, and has Martins improved? Not yet, he's in the last sector. Here comes Cordeel, who has been pushed back down to 12th fastest. Potacek's improved up to 5th now. Cordeel improves up to 10th. At 92, Victor Martins, flattering to deceive actually on that lap, stays slowest, stays 16th. As there through the Grand Courbe, pushes Amaury Cordeel. Very fast section of the circuit, that. Now there is the man of the moment, as it were, Victor Martins. Fastest yesterday, double winner, double pole, double fastest lap a week ago at the Nürburgring. So has he timed this right in order to get the last demon lap out of the tyres, out of the session? 6 minutes to go. Kaya Collett then on pole and going quicker again in the first sector. But is it going to be enough? If Victor Martins has timed this right, others should be bailing into the pits, and then he's got a clear road in these final few minutes of the session. Lorenzo Colombo, however, who is a regular front runner, had a second at the Nürburgring a week ago. He has done what was an absolute best in the middle sector, now personal, because this man, Victor Martins, as you see, goes purple in sector 2. So Martins here should be up for a bid for pole position. He was a 10th down on Collett's absolute best in sector 1, but he's 9,000ths better in sector 2. It might not be pole on this lap, but it might get him onto the front row of the grid. So let's see. This brings him into the complex. At the end of the lap, you've got the right, and then that takes you in turn into the chicane. Avoid pit in, over the timing line, goes second. Yes, it puts him onto the front row of the grid, but not quite quick enough. He was 0.120 of a second away from Kaya Collett's pole position lap. So Victor Martins there accelerates then around the Grand Courbe. He's got at least one more shot in terms of the clock, but David Vidales has just done the absolute best in the middle sector. That's Collett, that's the pole man, who looks as though on this lap he's backed out of it because sectors 1 and 2 are slower. There, number 3 is the car of Petr Potacek. Potacek, who yesterday for the final race, put himself 9th in the times. David Vidales goes second. Weird lap down in sector 1. Absolute best and a personal best. Knitted together nicely. Pushes Victor Martins back a row. And Martins is not going any quicker on this lap. So it looks as though he's either giving his tyres a breather or has worked the best out of them. Ugo de Wilde, race winner last year, rattles over the curve. Then the Arden entry up towards the timing line. Up to 5th then, Ugo de Wilde. Actually one of the better performances we've seen out of the young Belgian driver this year. Father Olivier de Wilde, regular press officer and journalist in Belgium, so column inches never far away from Ugo, who has done his best. Look, you can see the car just back the pace right off, going through the corner there, coming out of the Grand Cours and into Estoril. Right, 11 is Franco Colapinto. He is still pushing hard as well. Colapinto 5th then as he comes over the timing line. So Kaya Collet by 76 thousandths from David Vidales, and now with Victor Martins 3rd, finding people on an absolute gun lap is a little bit more difficult. Race GP, I should say, tops the times. Bitek at the bottom, Vicky Piria. There, number 3, Petr Potacek, 10th fastest he is. So Potacek, no, not going to improve on this lap, is he? Down in sectors 1 and 2. So another of the R-Race GP cars is this, Petr Potacek, who's had a mixed season really, with 2 non-finishes in Imola. The best that he's had is an 8th, and that was in the first race at the Nürburgring. Second year in these cars as well. So Potacek, you would think, would be up there because of his experience. Now Kaya Collet is having one last go just to edge away from everybody else in terms of a time, because he has now done, on the previous lap, a personal and an absolute best time. So a 1:33.277 is the best lap time that he's done. That is Rachid de Geras, second generation competitor. His father a rally driver. And Rachid de Geras then heading up towards the end of the lap. As you can see, he was down by half a second in the first sector, made up most of that in the middle and then locks up in the third sector. And that's not going to help the lap time at all. He will get one more out of it, but he might well have a flat spot on the tyre, which will go against him. 14th fastest he remains, with the middle sector being the one little bit of promise potential on that lap. So there is Kaya Collet, and this is a slower lap, as you can see, because he's not gone green nor purple in either of the sectors. Is he going to go for the pit lane? Pit in, effectively, you go straight on here. No, he stays out for one more lap. Is he going to have another roll of the dice just to see if he can edge away from the opposition? That lap, 4 seconds down then, much, much slower in the last sector. But Kaya Collet still looking very strong indeed as far as the top time is concerned here. So through he goes. And that's Franco Colapinto, the Argentine, on to his final lap. There's less than a lap time left in the session now. So Colapinto heads around in the third sector, at the top of the lap. So that means he's at Chateau d'Eau. Franco Colapinto, remember, won the opener at Monza, so started the season with great potential. Actually, he's going to squeeze one more lap out of this as well, isn't he? Improved in the last sector. Now, if he maintains that momentum, let's see what he can do. Is that the trigger for another red-hot go on his last lap of the session? Let's see, because he's on track. There's Victor Martins ahead of him, who is now down to 4th, because you've got Collet, Vidales, Colombo and Martins. Unless Victor can do something on this last lap, the flag is now out. So Victor Martins, now or never for him. There is Kyle Collet, who again is still able to find the time, but so is Victor Martins. Martins does a personal best in the first sector. So this is Kyle Collet down in sector 1, up in sector 2. Brakes now for the Complex du Lycée into the chicane, flick right, flick left, gets sideways, checkered flag. He will go quicker still, will he? A 1:33.133. Kaya Collett down on the very last lap of the session. Moves the goalposts yet further away from the rest. Now, what about Martins? He was up in Sector 1 then. He's up in Sector 2. He needs absolutes rather than just personals. That said, even if he can get on the front row of the grid, it will be an advantage because he'll be ahead of some of the traffic. Comes out of Chateau d'Eau now. Others still trying to improve. Hugo de Wilde down to 7th. Alex Quinn up to 6th. Lorenzo Colombo 3rd then. Gregoire Saucy 5th. This, though, a very important run to the flag for Victor Martins, and he goes 2nd. He's back on the front row of the grid. Just ahead of him on track, Adrien David, who ends up now 9th. But Victor Martins, 0.149 of a second down on Kaya Collett, his first pole of the season, Kaya Collett. And don't forget, at Nürburgring in the second race, he set this record, did Kaya Collett, of being the driver with the most consecutive point-scoring finishes to his name, 25 on the bounce. So now he's got a pole position to his name as well. Kaya Collett then is fastest at the end of Q2 for Formula Renault Eurocup here at Magny-Cours. Drivers will make their way into the Parc Fermé area. Technical checks will take place. And this, provisionally, is how we look then at the end of qualifying. Kaya Collett the fastest from Victor Martins, 0.149 of a second between them. Top 10 all within a second of each other. That 10 being Collett, Martins 3rd, David Vidal is ahead of Lorenzo Colombo, Gregoire Saucy and Alex Quinn. 7th, Hugo de Wilde from Franco Colapinto, then Adrien David and Paul Aron. Outside the top 10, Petr Potacek. A long way back, 12th, William Aratalo from Amaury Cordier, Resta de Geras, Laszlo Toth, Vicky Piria. And Tymon van der Helm never got a time in, question mark, as to whether he's actually going to be on track this weekend or not. So, a quick look at the highlights of the session, which, as ever, had some of the back marker drivers, if you like, going out first to try to get more track time in. The savvy ones and the savvy teams letting the session come to them before they went out, rather than wasting tyres. And Kaya Collett was the man for the most part of that session, certainly the second half, on his toes, able to go quicker and quicker and quicker, put himself onto pole position and extend the margin further at the end, despite the efforts of this man, Victor Martins, to go 2nd. David Vidal would be 3rd. So race 1 comes up this afternoon. Join us for that if you can, as the Formula Renault Eurocup story of 2020 continues. For now, from David Addison. Au revoir.